Now we come to quite a tough passage, so listen carefully. Oh, I said this only once. Sorry. So many television influences here. Listen carefully because there's some very deep stuff here, and it's stuff that we will come back to in future episodes as well. Okay? Matthew 7:21 to 23. Jesus said, "Not everyone who says to me, 'Lord, Lord,' will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only the one who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. Many will say to me on that day, 'Lord, did we not prophesy in your name, and in your name drive out demons, and in your name perform many miracles?' And I'll tell them plainly, 'Look, I never knew you. Away from me, you evildoers.'" I said this is an interesting one, but let's think about it. So, here we're looking at character and gift. It all ties into the fruit that we talked about in the previous episode. By their fruit you will know them. There is a difference between character and gift. It's a theme we see throughout the Bible. We spoke about a character in the previous episode, producing the fruit of the Spirit. Now, sometimes the great leaders of God's people were incredibly gifted people, but their character still needed shaping. Solomon was one of the wisest men in court and in politics, but one of the most foolish men in his private life. Go figure that one. King David was also like this, his dad. He was aware of it, though. Some leaders were like this and weren't so self-aware. Jesus is saying you could have all the gifts God sends you. You could be able to prophesy and drive out spirits and do fancy stuff and imitate me, but do you rely on your gift? You could be a brilliant singer, a musician, a preacher, a teacher. Thousands may follow you. You could fill whole stadiums with people who all come and listen to you. But do you rely on your gift? And does your gift cause you to lead people to Jesus? Or does your gift cause you to lead people to you instead? There's a subtle difference. And sometimes it's tricky to find out which is which. It's critical that we remember Jesus is paramount in all of this. And one of the key phrases that stands out to me in this passage is when Jesus says, "I never knew you. I never knew you." He implies that people can do a lot of stuff in his name, but they don't necessarily open up their lives to him personally. Maybe they once did, but then they forgot him in the process and just went on autopilot and carried on, because gifts are given and they're not taken away. So you can be very gifted and still be a mess inside. So sometimes these people come a cropper, and I'm glad when they come a cropper on this life rather than before the throne of God, because then they can get their life right and get themselves sorted out before they face the throne of God. But if they don't get their life right before they face the throne of God, it can be tricky. It's so important to keep the channels of communication open between you and God, and in humility, face up to him. We'll come back to some of this stuff when we start doing the letters of the Apostle Paul. But we need to keep our channels of communication open at all times, no matter what. And this leads on to the next passage, which we'll look at next.